We're going to start today's podcast with the 17th annual NBA Players NFL QB comps. Ceruti is here, hanging out.
What's up?
What's up? All right, so here's the premise. We've done this for years. We're going to take an NBA player and compare him to an NFL quarterback. So Ceruti and I have worked on this for a little bit. We've run through it. You're going to toss them to me. There could be some surprises in there. And then we're going to work out whether or not we think the comp is like right on, unfair, but still unfair, but right on, or totally off. But for the most part, the premise is to try to get these as right as we can, right?
Yeah, they're not exact. Some of them have like off-field things involved. Some of them are just purely on-field. Like, hey, I watched these two guys and they're similar. So, it's a fun exercise. Try not to get too mad at us.
Exactly. Or get wicked mad. Who cares? Yeah. Okay. All right. The first one.
This one you'll love. Your boy, Russell Wilson. I think his comp is James Harden. Here we go. Once great, both basically forced trades away from their team and left the team who traded for them probably having buyer's remorse. I don't want to say they're washed, but they're definitely past their prime. So Russell Wilson is James Harden.
I'm not ready to go washed on either one of these guys right now. Okay, Harden just got back for the first time in a while. The Houston game was pretty ugly. Not a big deal. Personality-wise, I would rather hang out with James Harden. I would live with James Harden before I would. If Grant Williams were better, like a lot better, you could do Grant, Russell Wilson. There's massive buyer's remorse off of Hall of Fame resumes. Although now people are starting to go, wait, is Russell Wilson going to get in a lot? I still can't believe that Russell Wilson will be this bad the rest of his career. I cannot believe it. And on the other side, Harden, he is going to be good again. It's just they're both diminished. They're both diminished, and the new city is saying, are you serious? Like, what happened? And Harden's also forced his way out of two places. And who knows about that? Wilson's not exactly the same track record with that. And Wilson has the ring. So it's close. It's close because of the new city remorse, right?
Yeah, I think it's like, wait, we got this guy? I thought this guy was going to be like changing our franchise. And that's where the buyer's remorse comes in. Again, not washed, but I think you probably would want to redo on both of those trades, both of the Harden trades, maybe, and even the Russ trade.
I don't think the Sixers would, because their guy wasn't even playing.
Right.
Yeah,
but the Rockets, the Rockets fleeced the Nets. Like, the Nets don't look good in that situation at all.
No. All right, next one.
All right, this one pretty easy, mostly just physical attributes. Zion is Justin Herbert, probably the two biggest freaks in the league. Now you can give me Josh Allen, but I actually like the Herbert comp better. But there's still kind of some question marks around both these guys, but they're just fun to watch.
Physically insane, agree. There's a massive amount of hope on, like, is this the person? They do things that all of us freak out about. To be fair to Herbert, he plays all the time. Zion, it's been good this year, but the track record isn't great there. So I like it. Herbert is Luka? Is Herbert actually Luka? Or is that not enough for Luka?
No, I think that's enough for Luka, because some people think Herbert's the best quarterback in the league. There's people at the Ringer who believe that.
But at least,
people who are smart to believe that.
Luka, who I put last year's Mavs and kind of that fluky Western Conference Finals appearance thing with like 5 other teams the last few years, that's still something, right? Because if you didn't like Luka and he lost in the first round 3 straight years, you go, oh, I've never been out of the first round. So when you actually get to the third round, you got to get credit for that. And that's not happening with the Chargers at all. So I think it kind of goes from Zion's almost unfair for Herbert, but then Herbert's unfair for Luka. All right, next one.
This is absolute layup slam dunk. KD is Aaron Rodgers. They're both really good, kind of at the twilights of their career, but they're both perpetually unhappy.
This is so good, I don't like it. I'm a much bigger KD guy than I am an Aaron Rodgers guy. I actually hate this one, but it's kind of right.
They create their own problems too. That's the other thing. Like, they both have created the situations that make them unhappy. Like, it's too good to me.
They wanted to burn the ships when it came to the front office. KD literally
Cortez
was like,
reference. Love that. Yeah.
Fire everyone. Rodgers was like, all of you suck. And then he never said what they actually sucked at. It was just like a breakdown of communication.
No, it was like, you let Randall Cobb go. It's like, yeah, but Randall Cobb was old. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably like, sorry.
No, if you go through the names of the guys that Rodgers was upset left, you were like, I don't know. Like, they're good. That's the other thing too, is that like other than this year, they've always perpetually like been a good team. And by the way, Watson, the receiver, looks like another stud. And he's basically saying these guys are incompetent, can't do their jobs. And then it's like, actually, I think they're pretty good at their jobs.
The only difference I'll say is I would say KD is better right now than Rodgers is. Rodgers has not been good, really. I think KD's still pretty good.
I'm going to hold off on like thinking Rodgers is really heading in the wrong direction, because he had a couple years not that long ago where it was like, wait, is he getting worse? And then he ends up winning an MVP, and it was fine. They're no doubt like not just Hall of Famers. They are no doubters when it comes to being the best of their era. Not to say KD is the number one guy the whole time, but I think you understand what I'm saying. But the war on their organization's very similar. KD, as far as the full resume, going to Golden State, Rodgers doesn't have something like that where he's going to the Pats, although he wanted to get out of there. But there's no Golden State comp there because obviously only one guy can play the position. I still like KD. I think they're both very real. I think we know exactly where their head's at on a lot of stuff a lot of the time. And as more of a KD fan, I kind of hated this summer because it was really tough to defend. So I'm not even going to bother defending it. But I think that similarity is pretty good there. All right, next one.
Trevor Lawrence is LaMelo Ball. Talent, hype, all there. Is the production winning going to come?
This is one of those at first you're like, no way. It kind of plays, though. High picks. The stuff they do at times, you're like, oh, my God. And yet, you probably have no idea. Like, are you certain? Do you have a definitive prediction for either one of them?
I feel way better about Lawrence than I do about LaMelo.
I actually think LaMelo's.
I still believe in Trevor Lawrence. I do.
Okay.
I think LaMelo. You know, I don't. It's not like I don't like the guy, but I'll probably be the last on that bandwagon.
LaMelo being hurt, like I don't know that one because we had another one where. It was Zach Wilson, James Wiseman.
I have that one. Yeah, that's the one I have next. Both high picks who just look completely lost. The only thing, one gets drafted to an incredible organization, and one gets drafted to arguably the worst in the entire league. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You kind of can say that about the Jets still.
Well,
Jets
now,
defense.
yeah. Listen, Mike White. I'm a Mike White believer, by the way. I love Mike White.
You've always been a big Mike White guy. Okay, give me the next one.
All right, this is a stupid one that I just threw at you. Taylor Heineke is Jose Alvarado. Because they're both fun. It's kind of chaotic at times, and they both play for good teams, and they're not really the reason that their team ever wins. But I just kind of think they bring this like chaotic energy to both of their teams that I like.
I think it's a good one. I like it. I endorse this one. They're both a little mascotty.
Yeah.
Which sounds like the ultimate diss. Not trying to do that. It feels like, hey, that's our guy, you know? Like, I just feel like both of them, when people walk by them in the hallway at the facility, want to just mess up their hair. Hey, what's going on? And the other thing I think is similar is deep down, this may seem more unfair to Alvarado than it is Heineke, but if either one were your starter, you'd say, hey, this is cool, but yeah, like eventually, like, shouldn't we have somebody else starting?
That's the issue where you get to like not comparing them like quarterbacks to star. Like Alvarado's not a star player, so it's not.
Yeah, right.
Like Alvarado's not asked to do what Taylor Heineke can do. I will say like Heineke's the best because he could be like awful for 3.5 quarters. Like he could be no touchdowns, 4 picks, and have a chance to win, like to lead a touchdown drive at the end of the game. And I'll believe that he could do it. And I love that energy about him.
Yeah, if Heineke were not a pro athlete, right? He was just a dude. He would hit on everyone at the gym.
Just firing left and right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The way,
he's the guy who does buy the cleats. He buys the Jordans, right, for every color of team that he beats. That's yeah. I don't know if I love that, but
update on the guy who was hitting on the 11 that showed up at Equinox. He was hitting on somebody else the other day. So this guy just doesn't care. He shows up double holstered.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Rarely an isolated incident for guys like that.
Yeah. Nah. And you know what? The rest of us who don't do it, looking at him, being like, fuck that guy, guess who's going out every Friday night? Right? Fair. So who's wrong in that one? Okay. All right. Next one.
Couple good ones here. This one I love. Carson Wentz is Russell Westbrook. MVP level players who fell off, keep getting traded, and they just refuse to like adapt and learn new things. And they're they're just going to be bad, I think, for the rest of their careers.
Is it almost unfair to Westbrook?
I watched that Laker game last night, man. I was not impressed with Westbrook at all. I
he was bad
like,
last night.
He changed. LeBron, by the way, just like what he took one shot in the fourth quarter. It was just a weird LeBron game. I thought he was just kind of out of it.
No, LeBron was doing the parent is upset at you and won't say anything to you on the ride home.
Yep.
That's what his game was in the fourth quarter last night. I'm upset with you because they kept screwing up everything defensively. And by the way, they're just not as good. Anthony Davis goes out. Last night was like a really weird vibes game, and it was Westbrook deserved credit for what he did on Friday. It still feels a little dismissive of Westbrook to compare him to Wentz career-wise, but I think the best part of this that's a good is where is this going? How is this going to end?
Nowhere good.
The Westbrook end is more interesting because I think we know the Wentz one is just he's going to be a backup on a few more teams. He's going to get a handful of starts. Like if you said Wentz over under 20 starts the rest of his career, 30, that's actually a fun game to do. I think we did that on the radio show one year.
I take the under.
You take under 20 starts for Wentz the rest of his career?
I really hope people have learned. He's not good. And this is like a thing. Like I remember the Will Kane debate of like Dak versus Wentz, and I was like team Wentz. I'm like, how could you possibly think Dak is better than Wentz? And now I'm like, that guy's bad. He's a bad quarterback. Like I'd rather have Heineke.
That's fine. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'd rather have Alvarado than Westbrook. Okay.
Agree.
Give me your next
one. Derek Carr, Bradley Beal. They're both good, but you're kind of looking for the next guy ultimately, or it's like, are you ever really going anywhere with them?
No, I think you look at the numbers and go, wow, did you see? Like every now and then I'll look through where Carr's at statistically. And I'm like, that's incredible. And the same could be said of Beal, but don't get too excited. Like the numbers are awesome, but don't get too, even though I feel like I don't know. I feel like I kind of came around on Carr a little bit more this year. I was like, he's actually pretty good after years of feeling like he's going to be replaced. I just don't think Beal is even close to being like a 1. I think he just puts up sick numbers. I think he's really talented. And I actually can't get like some of those games they were losing where he was just such a malcontent about it the whole time. But whatever. Maybe he's just going through a bad phase. Okay, how many more do we have?
2, and we got some bonus ones too if you want, but I'll give you the 2 here. First one is Lamar, is Ja. They're arguably the most fun guys in the league. Question is, like, can you win it all with that guy? I think that's more fair for Lamar than it is for Ja, because Ja's still, year 4? But at the end of the day, it's more about like watchability for these guys. Like you put on games to watch these 2 players. And
I'm always worried that there's going to be the hit or landing.
Yes.
I think that's a really good one there. But I wouldn't be, I don't look at Ja as having, if you were going to make the argument against Lamar, the Lamar postseason thing, which can be fixed with one run, right? I don't really have any of that with Ja at this point. And I think this is kind of like the rapid fire one. Like people want to do Steph Mahomes, LeBron Brady's a layup for this one. I don't think there is a Giannis at all. I just don't. If Josh Allen had a ring, fine. But even then, I don't think Josh Allen physically, as impressive as it is what Giannis is physically. What Giannis is physically in comparison to everybody else that's in that league, it's unfair. So I just don't think there's a Giannis. So when you rip this segment off, don't force one in there.
Could I throw one that's going to be really controversial out there?
Love it.
Let's do Tua. This is a really hard one to figure out, and you didn't endorse this one, so this is me just going rogue. I had Jordan Poole, and I know the QAnon people are going to get really mad at me. I don't dislike Tua, but from a perspective of, I think they're both on really good teams with a really good coach, and they're in great positions right now. And yeah, I'd want both of them on my team. But I think there's also a system element to this a little bit. And I know the two people are going to throw stats at me and tell me, oh, look at his, what is he, number 1 in yards per attempt? And
he's number 1 in like everything.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Yeah. But he also has 2 of the most ridiculous weapons in the entire league. And I think McDaniels is like an awesome offensive mind. So I'm admitting it's probably not fair to Tua, but I think that's kind of like the range where like if Poole was on the Magic, is Jordan Poole as good as he is on the Warriors right now? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I kind of lean maybe not, because I just think they're both in really good spots.
All right. I'm a little more interested. I'm not endorsing it yet, though, because I feel like Poole's status is too low to be compared to Tua and what Tua's status is at this point. But I like you. I was very dismissive of it. I didn't even want it in it when we ran through these, but now I'm glad it happened, even though I didn't endorse it. Okay. We had a Baker Mayfield, Ben Simmons one in there.
I didn't love that. I mean, I guess the argument would be like 2 number 1 picks who were just like kind of a mess physically and mentally. That's,
Yeah.
There you go. And then the other one I had
everybody else's fault.
Yeah, that also. Well, I don't. Is Baker? Is he a blame other people guy? I don't know. I feel like he kind of owns it. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. Last one I had was Kirk Cousins, Zach Levine, empty stats guys.
Maybe. Okay, we don't have the 2 headliners here. Because we have 2 headliners that we haven't even done yet. These are my 2 favorite ones. Okay. How about this? Lauri Markkanen, Geno Smith.
Oh no.
Multiple teams had higher hopes for Markkanen, who goes in the lottery than Geno's draft slot. And I think the whole time you're like, are they actually going to be this good now? Although if you look at Markkanen's career numbers, that second year with the Bulls, you can make an argument he's kind of just doing the same thing again. I just don't remember any team ever, I don't remember Cleveland. Granted, they're getting Mitchell, and I don't know, Chicago's fans are doing this retroactive bummed out Lauri Markkanen thing.
No.
Where it was like, did you care then? So, all right, last one. This is my favorite one. This is yours. This is what kind of got me fired to do it again. My favorite one of all of them. I think it's a home run comp. Go.
This is what started basically the entire segment. Trae Young is Kyler Murray. This is the most perfect comparison of anyone that we've made so far. They are both undersized, incredible players who have limitations both like on the court, on the field, and also I just think their attitudes are kind of the same. I almost feel like they just think that they're, this is going to sound disrespectful, but like they just think that they're like above everything else. And I think we've seen it with the Trae thing recently. We saw it with Kyler yelling at Cliff and it's everybody else's fault on the sideline. I think these 2 guys are the exact same guy.
It's perfect. Now, to get the counters to it out of the way immediately, if Kyler were consistently as productive as Trae, then you'd feel way better about Kyler, right? Because whatever you think about Trae, and I covered it again on Tuesday, because this whole thing from the last week was one of the least surprising things ever. And by the way, when players are asked stuff, they think they're answering things, and they're not. Like Draymond Green talked about the punch with Marcus Spears, and he was like, yeah, it was a lesson, a learning experience. And the perfect follow-up at that point is Spears goes, what did you learn? And Draymond's like, I learned a lot about myself. And then what the fuck does that mean? Give us something, all right? And then people can argue, well, because I remember seeing with the Trae thing, which I didn't know the video. If you haven't seen the video yet, a reporter really goes out, wait, look, why weren't you at the game Friday? It's very clear that Trae and Nate got into it, and then Trae decided to go, I'm not even going to show up to the arena and sit there with my team when other players who were hurt that were out. Some of these guys, I think, like being hurt and being out, dressing up, and then fucking around on the bench the whole time, by the way. And Trae decided to stay at home. It's not a good look. You're not supposed to do it. Things happen, but then Trae's answering the questions, but he's not. He's like, oh, it was a private matter. Not really. Like you play for an NBA team. You weren't there. It's not really private. It's like, okay, give me a little bit more. But I don't know the history with that reporter. I don't know if one version of it, it felt like the reporter was in the shot. So I was like, is he trying to do this for himself? Because there was an NFL thing a couple years ago where the writer got into it with a player and then he posted 700 times about it. And I'm like, okay, well, now you've lost me. I actually wish the player told you to fuck off, because if this is what your deal is. So back to the whole thing with this, you're absolutely right. There is I don't know if it's an age thing, because sometimes guys, you can be like, oh, well, he's young. Yeah, well, sometimes that guy's the same guy when he's older. There's a very dismissive, I'm good vibe with both of these players. And to see the Kyler stuff with Cliff was awful. But people are still so anti-Cliff. They didn't want to admit what that really was. And then Patrick Peterson, who's one of the most respected guys in the league, comes out and says Kyler only cares about himself. And then Kyler tweets at him saying, you're on some weird shit, bro. And it's that's the answer that a guy who, that was the perfect way of
you confirmed it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just confirmed it. So both incredibly talented, Trae's far more established because of what he's done. But I think there is a very connected concern if you were comparing both personalities to be can this actually be the number one guy that his teammates will respond to? And I would say for Kyler, it's even a bigger challenge right now from what I've seen. I love it. Perfect. Okay, that's it. Our 17th annual NBA NFL QB comps.